Alright guys, this is Emeric from Emeric's Time-Lapse and welcome back for a new tutorial. I know it's been a while, it's been a long time, but today we're gonna talk about drone hyperlapse. Let's go. Okay guys, so I just came back from Chicago like a week ago and I shot tons of time lapses and hyperlapses, including drone hyperlapse with my DJI Mavic 2 Pro, that's what I used. But most of the time you still need to stabilize the hyperlapse when you came back from your shoot because it's not 100% steady, it's not perfectly smooth. So you need to go through After Effects and do some stabilization. So this is what I'm going to show you today, how to stabilize a drone hyperlapse using After Effects. Before we start, I wanted to make sure you know my workflow before being at that point in my workflow. So I have this video here, hyperlapse. This is the time-lapse hyperlapse. You can see it's the video file that I already exported. So when I shoot a drone hyperlapse, I get the raw sequence at the end. I get the raw sequence and it's like a regular workflow. I use LR time-lapse and then Lightroom, then I create the video. But because I know I'm gonna have some stabilization to do, I keep the original ratio. So you can see here, it's not 16:9, it's 3:2, I think, on DJI. I'm not even sure, but it's not my final ratio. And you can see that there is some kind of shaky movement. It's not really smooth. It's not really smooth. Sometimes the drone going up and down a little bit, going left and right a little bit. It's not really keeping like a perfect anchor point, but that's not a problem because as you can see, I'm pretty far away from my subject, so I'm not gonna have any perspective issue going on here. Sometimes when you're very close, if you have a building, and if the drone is going up and down, well, it's gonna change the perspective you have between the first foreground building and the background. So here I'm pretty far away from my subject, which is the Chicago skyline, and look at those fluffy clouds, guys, and look at the sailboats. It's beautiful. And look at the colors of the Lake Michigan. You can see the shadows of the clouds. How cool is this? But as you can see, it doesn't look smooth at all. So what I'm going to do is stabilize it. First thing first, if you don't have a lot of movements and if it looks almost pretty perfect, you can also actually use the warp stabilizer right away. But today I'm not going to do this. It's moving a lot, so I'm going to do some tracking. So the tracker window is right there. I mean, for you, it could be somewhere else. Most of the time, if you just created a project, it could be right there on the right. And if you don't see the tracker window, just go in Window and select Tracker. Pretty easy. What we want to do is stabilize motion. Okay, so as you can see here, we have our track point or attach point is like a little cross right there. Then the small square it's what we call a feature region. It means it's going to be an element of your time lapse that you're going to select. And then finally, we have the search region. So now that you know this, we're gonna select something else here. We're gonna select rotation. So when you select rotation, you're gonna have 2 tracking points, 2 feature region and 2 search region. For the only reason that you're gonna select 2 points on your time lapse and tell After Effects those 2 points have to stay there in order to stabilize the position and the rotation. Because if you have only 1 tracking point, well, the image can turn around, can rotate around 1 point. But if you have 2 tracking points, the image cannot rotate because the 2 tracking points are gonna stay at the exact same position. So that's why we have 2 tracking points right there. So the key when you wanna find a tracking point or an element to track is having something with very different contrast. So when you're shooting cityscapes like this, usually having a corner of the building with the sky in the background is going to be very 2 different colors, different contrast, and it's going to be very easy for After Effects to stabilize. So look at this here. We have the Willis Tower that looks completely black, and then in the background it's really white. So it's going to be very easy to track. So what I can do is maybe find this corner here. So I'm going to attach my attach point, my tracking point here. The little cross is going to be the corner. All right. The feature region is going to be probably like part of the building here and the top part of this building with a little bit of sky. So it's going to be easy for After Effects because After Effects is going to make the difference between the colors and you'll see it's going to work super well. You won't have even to come back on After Effects. You won't have to touch anything. It's going to track it for you. Then The search region right here, you don't want it to be too small, you also don't want it to be too big. It depends how shaky your clip is. Today it's not that shaky, so I think I'm just gonna go like this. So it includes part of the building and also part of the sky. So it should do good work. All right, so now to avoid rotation issues, we need to find like another tracking point on the other side of the time lapse. Usually if you select like on both sides, it's gonna do a good job instead of like being right in the middle. So here we have the choice. We have a really green building here, or we have like a bunch of other stuff we can select. We have even this tower here. I feel that could work perfectly. So as you can see, we have like, I can select my tracking point with the center tower here, or the rooftop in the middle. My feature region right there can be the 3 elements. This is what we're gonna be tracking. And then the search region can be like something with some of the buildings here and a little bit of the sky. So I feel like those 2 tracking points are going to be perfect. So before we go, a little trick you can do is you can left click on this layer and you can do new layer viewer, all right? So now you have 2 of them. So what we can do, instead of having a really wide angle like this, I'm gonna zoom in on this tracking point here. All right, make sure you're the first frame also when you do your tracking point. And then here we're gonna go to the left one. That way we can really keep an eye on both tracking points. And when you're done, you're gonna do this, which is analyze forward and see if it works. And then just wait a few seconds. So it's gonna move only 1 tracking point. Yeah, that's the only thing I don't like, but you can stop it. And if you stop it, you can see on the right layer window that it's still going fine, so you can keep going. If you did like a good tracker, a good search region, and a good feature region, you shouldn't have any problem. Here you can see it's still working fine. All right, then just keep going. Oh, as you can see here, it actually went towards the wrong one. So what are we gonna do here? Actually, I wanna select like another, I feel like it got confused between the 2. So what I'm gonna do is start over. Let's see if I can select this corner, for example. This corner might be easier, there's like less things going on. I'm gonna do a feature region maybe a little smaller and the search region a little smaller. Let's try to see if it works this time. If it doesn't work the first time, try with other tracking area. You can try with, right now, see, yeah, it's still working fine. The left layer, it's still working fine. Oops, no, that's not what I want to do. So I'm gonna let it go all the way to the end, and if there's an issue, we'll go and fix it. See, it's pretty fast. What you can do to go faster is you can actually select half quality in composition. That way it loads the image in half quality instead of full 4K HD. All right, let's see. Now we can see we're out of frame. This one seems good. Looks like it didn't move, maybe a little bit, but the perspective is changing, but I feel like it's still, my feature element is still the same, so we're fine. And then here also, it looks like it's perfect. All right, so now that we're good with the tracking, if you have a problem with tracking, you can do is like go to the frame where there is the issue, and you can actually manually move it if needed. Up, and there we go, you can manually move it. But usually, if you select a good tracking point, it's not gonna be a problem. You wanna do apply, you wanna select X and Y, do okay. All right, I'm gonna close this one now, we don't need it. And let's see, we're gonna actually load it in half and see how the tracking did, if it did a good job or not. It looks good so far. So yeah, obviously we have some like content, we're losing content, but you'll see I have a trick that's gonna make you use your entire image. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so how does it look? It looks perfectly smooth. Just ignore, the fact that it's drifting to the right. It's not a little problem right now. I'm gonna fix this, but look at the skyline. The skyline looks perfectly smooth right here. Amazing, beautiful hyperlapse. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go and select our composition right here and create a new one from this composition. That way, what we can do is do Command K, and then I'm gonna actually change the ratio here and use the one I want to export the video to. So it would be the time-lapse 4K plus for my template, which is 4096 by 2304, which is a 16 by 9. I can rename it Hyperlapse Chicago. fluffy clouds, for example. All right. So one thing, remember, we're kind of losing a lot of content here, but I don't want this. You're gonna tell me, Emeric, we have to zoom in because we don't want to see this transparent background here. And to the right, we're losing a lot of contents. That's true, we are. But what I'm going to do is Command K, and I'm going to make my composition bigger. That way we're going to have the entire video inside of my composition. So here I'm going to take the width and then just make it bigger until the entire video actually fits in it. As you can see, okay, all right, you can see. That's a trick that works so well for hyperlapse. That way you can actually use your entire content. You're not losing any content. All right, we're pretty good with the width, and then the height, I can do the same. All right, it looks pretty good here. Okay, and then I can just check if I have my entire image. As you can see, my video is not cropped at all. The entire video is actually fitting inside my composition. Oh, towards the end, there's a little bit. So I'll Command K, just make it a little bigger. There you go, that looks pretty good. All right. And then now we're gonna go back to the next composition, which is the Chicago Fluffy. So the next composition includes my first one, so this one. So now what we're gonna do is actually keyframe the position, keyframe the scale, keyframe everything you need to keyframe in order to get a perfect time-lapse, hyperlapse, without having those crop area and the transparent background, because you don't want this. So I'm going to go to the first frame. I'm going to do position, scale, and rotation, create 3 keyframes here on the first frame. Then I'm going to do scale, all right, as you can see. So I'm going to scale it bottom and top, something like this. Looks pretty good. Then I can change the position if needed. Maybe I want a little bit more of water since I have the boats. That looks pretty cool. I can put the skyline in the middle. Do whatever you want with the first keyframe, then go to the last one. And then obviously here I'm cropping. But remember, because I have my entire video in my composition, what I can do is just move the position here a little bit, and boom, we don't have any problem now. So here, I'll just actually keyframe the position. Obviously, check your time-lapse because sometimes it's moving back and forth. So as you can see here to the left, we have a little bit of weird lines going on. So just watch the entire time-lapse. Perfect. Here we have the same thing. So what you can do is go to the next frame, and then move it to the right a little bit more. You can also scale it. Maybe you can zoom into 76%, and let's see if we still have, oh yeah, we still have any problem here. All right, so yeah, it's right there. Okay, actually I forgot I had the keyframe selected for scale, so that's why I didn't change anything to the beginning. So 76%, I want 76% at the beginning, 76% here for the scale, there you go. So now it should be a little more zoomed in. Let's see if we have anything. All right, that looks really good now. We don't have the transparent background showing up. Making sure, like, play the entire video, make sure you don't have any weird things going on. Oh, yeah, we can see it right there. It keeps coming back. So it's no problem. I feel like I have some content, so I'm gonna move it like this maybe. All right, let's see if we still have it. If we still have it, I feel like it's not much, so yeah, we still have it. So the maximum is what, right there. So what you can do is move your scale keyframe right here. I mean, you don't actually, we don't even need the keyframe for the scale. And we can just do per one value. There you go, 1%, and it's fixed. Let's start from the beginning. Let's see if we have any problem. Right now it looks really smooth. And yeah, there you go, look at this. Just with tracking how much better it looks like now. So now that you have done tracking and you have a new composition, if you want, you can definitely add some warp stabilizer. So I'm gonna do this, okay? I'm gonna add some warp stabilizer to the next composition, not the first one was the keyframe, not the first one was the tracking, just the second composition right there. And then what we can do is smooth motion, usually 5 to 10% actually does a really good job. Oh my God, come on, my computer is so slow for anything I wanna do. 10%, and subspace warp is gonna work really well. So I'm gonna speed that up for you guys, and boom, this is the final hyperlapse, how smooth it looks like compared to the first one before, like straight out of the camera. Right from the raw sequences, it looks like this. All right. And then boom, this is what I stabilized with After Effects. So yeah, see how easy it is to stabilize an hyperlapse. Make sure you have the perfect tracking point and the feature region. That way it takes you like 5 minutes to track it. And then once you're done with the tracking, just add some warp stabilizer to kind of smooth out everything, and it looks perfect. So thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions, well, just leave me a comment below, and don't forget that I have a free guide. You can download my free guide. It's also in the description below. And all my classes, it's all on my website. So check the description if you want to learn more about time-lapse and hyperlapse photography. If you like this video, please subscribe. It helps a lot. And I'll see you in the next video. Ciao. That was weird. Ciao. Au revoir.